All right, we're on. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 1:01 p.m. The Whatcom County Fire District 21, and we'll start with roll call.
Scott Fisher.
Rich Fossman.
Kimberly is muted right now. Sorry. There you
Kimberly McMurray. Sorry about that.
No problem. Bruce Ansel.
Jason Vanderveen.
Henry's in the audience, but
Henry Hollander, how's that?
There he is. There he is. All right. No public comment due to the proclamation by the governor, and that seems to be going on and on and on and on, and who knows when it will end. We'll go ahead and open the Volunteer Pension Board meeting, and the first item is the approval of the September 17th meeting minutes. Is there a motion to move said minutes? Thank you.
I thought you fell out of your chair.
I know. I was like, dang. Careful.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Chief, we have the approval of a new volunteer.
Yes, sir. Seeking approval of bringing on Mr. Dylan Witzel. He's going to be a 24-hour shift volunteer working with career crews. He does have firefighter and EMT credentials, and he comes to us from the Cedar Woolley area.
So explain that to us, if you would. I mean, our volunteer program has had its ups and downs through the years, and we were going to try to have a resident program at one time or another. And this sounds, do we have other individuals that are doing this, or is this the first for us?
We do have one other individual currently who's doing this, and it's we're basically poaching people that are already trained instead of taking what we found over the years is that new volunteers don't tend to stick around very long. They're looking to get hired, picked up somewhere, and so we put a lot of money into training, a lot of time into training, and then they're here for a year or two and they take off. And so what we're doing is offering people that have been trained somewhere else the opportunity to get some more experience, kind of have the inside interview going on with another agency with us while they're here. They can work with our career crews, accrue additional training, and then, if we're hiring, maybe apply here or move on somewhere else. And they serve as the fourth on a crew. So it gives the crew to have more personnel on board, and that's just a good experience for everybody.
Are the crews embracing that opportunity?
I would say that the individuals tend to work with certain crews.
Okay. All right. So that's good. All right. So we'll need a motion to add him to our roster, correct?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
I just think it's a great idea. I really do.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. We, of course, now follow that with a volunteer separation. Guess 1 for 1. That's all right.
So this would be separating Stephanie Holstein. She is a rehab volunteer, which is part of the group that comes out on bigger structure fires and takes vitals, helps with cooling firefighters down or giving them a warm, dry place to kind of hide out from the weather. Stephanie's been with us for a number of years. She happens to be the wife of one of our career firefighters, and they have a new little person in their family, and she's just feeling it's hard to respond 24/7 with a new little guy hanging around. So she's asked to take a step back.
How many individuals are in that rehab group? Do you have a number?
Primary individuals, we have 3,
Okay.
but we moved the rehab unit from Station 70 to Station 68, and we're training up the tender group volunteers to kind of act as force multipliers, for lack of a better word, to be able to bring the rehab unit out. So we're increasing the number of people that are able to bring that unit out. So it will be really part of the tender group going forward.
All right. So we need a motion to approve the separation of Stephanie Holstein.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And please thank Stephanie for her service to the district. And, you know, who knows, maybe someday when the little one gets bigger, she'll want to come back. She'll want time away.
There you go.
All right. If there's no further business before the Volunteer Pension Board, I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. All right, we'll open the regular Board of Commissioners meeting at 1:07 p.m. And the first item of business is the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second it. So in the consent agenda is the September 17th meeting minutes, the staff reports, the financial reports. I am under the impression that we may want to discuss one of the vouchers that are in this packet.
Yeah, I'd like to pull out a voucher. It's on page 6 of 7 from the claims payment request. So on the screen, all the pages are not numbered, so that's about as close as I can give you to find it. And it's a voucher to the Mojack Group for $950 for an appraisal for Fire District 4. So I guess I'm wondering if maybe the chief could enlighten me on what was that for, and the process for that.
That is a voucher that was, it is for District 4. It's an appraisal report for Station 12, the Station 12 campus. You might remember a number of months ago, District 4 had a commercial real estate person come through and tell them what Station 12 would be valued at on the commercial rental market. That was the offices at Station 12 and Building D. This voucher in particular is, I have held on to this for a month or so and kind of unsure where to put it. And I put it in now and chose the bars number it's appropriate to. And I would ask, I understand your concern that it is a different District 4 specific request that we would be paying for. That how do we justify that? And we all know there's been a number of ups and downs over the last few months, and it seems that we are on a good path. Working with the RFA stuff, and you're probably asking, how do those two connect? Yes, it is. It was done in an interest of changing, they were looking forward to changing maybe what they had to pay District 21 back for as far as their quarterly payment. And in speaking with the chair of District 4, they're going to make that payment. They realized that there's a contract, and that's, that your group and myself and District 4, we agreed that there's a contract and there's a fourth quarter payment that's due and it's going to get paid. While it could be the impression that maybe this report was asked for at a time of conflict, it's actually doing District 4 a lot of good right now. in that Bellingham Fire is looking to rent those offices at Station 12 and bring District 4 some much needed revenue in. I would ask that you do pay this voucher as it is here, but in turn, officially order me to seek reimbursement from District 4 so that I can bring this forward to the District 4 board and let them know your concerns on the public record, and that we can work together to make sure that these type of arrangements don't happen where it's a surprise to one group or the other, it's going to force us into talking. It's going to help us with that communication piece that we've been missing really over the past, I'd say 18 to 24 months. The boards haven't been talking face to face. And I think this is a good opportunity for the District 21 board to kind of leverage me and my relationship with the District 4 board in bringing us all to the table to talk. So for that reason, I'd ask you to include the voucher, but like I said, direct me to go to the District 4 board and seek and ask for, or to get reimbursement for District 21 for this $950.
So you said you held on to it for a while. So does that mean as far as I see there's an invoice number on it, is that something that we're past due and paying to the Muljack Group?
We're not past due, but we're at the time where it needs to get paid. The other part is when I think about it, that company did their work. They did what they were hired to do. And like I said, I made the mistake in not submitting it immediately in an effort to try to figure out exactly how to deal with it. And but they do deserve to get paid. And I do believe that I have the relationship with the District 4 chair and with the members of their board that I can get the District 21 will be reimbursed for this funds.
Well, I guess my first thought, other than the fact that I really question whether we should pay for it, is as a business owner, I know how frustrating it is to have a bill that's not being paid and it sits there for 30, 60, 90 days, and what kind of reflection that is on the payee. So for that reason, I would be in favor of us paying it. But very definitely we should be talking to District 4 about reimbursement, because as far as I can tell, I don't think we're responsible for that invoice. But that's just my opinion. I'm open to what the rest of the board members think on that.
Rich, I agree with you. When I went through the vouchers, it caught my eye as well. And I have had a discussion or two with the chief as to how to best approach resolution to this. The concern I have is, where's the clear definition of what is truly their expense versus what is truly our expense? I know that the contract says that they will pay 25% of our operating budget, but those are things that we, in my opinion, incur to run our district and cover them as well. It doesn't make sense to me, for example, if they chose to order all brand new office furniture, would we then also be expected to pay for all of their office furniture, even though maybe they currently have stuff that works? I don't think that's an expense that we would enter into on our own, and don't feel that it would be something that we should be obligated to pay for. And this one was basically a inquiry as to how to charge us money to be in that office. And you know, a lot of hard feelings were developed over that whole thing. And I'm going to trust that the chief is going to get reimbursed for this and help explain it to the D4 board. I just don't want this to to keep happening, where we have to go through every voucher and make sure that it truly is an expense that we would have incurred normally. Scott, do you have any opinions?
I think we should pay it, but have the chief try to get us reimbursed from District 4.
Kimberly, you're a business person. What's your thoughts?
I agree with all of you as well. Being in business, you want things paid sooner than later. But was it since it's a rather high expense, was it something that was had pre-approval? Or who ordered it, or who signed the contract? And
that would be a very good question. It certainly wasn't pre-approved on our end. And I have no knowledge of whether their board pre-approved that expense or not.
There's a whole question here of process.
right.
It should run through the right channels. And in this case, as far as I can tell, there was no channel that was followed. It was just done. And nobody knew about it. Nothing was pre-approved. So that's as much of an issue in my mind as the monetary part of it. I mean, we're expected in governance to make sure that proper process is followed. In this case, I don't see that any process was followed. So I would expect that would be a part of the conversation that the chief would have with their board.
Mr. Bossman, I was just going to say this is a perfect opportunity for us to have that discussion about how exactly are we going to make sure that things are approved or known beforehand, so that this doesn't happen again. And I think that's one of the shortfalls that the current ILA has. It's one of the things, when we talk about needing to revisit the ILA, it's one of the things on the list. Is if an individual district identifies something that needs to happen, how do you approve that? If I don't remember the words exactly, but the ILA says if there's a substantial cost, if District 4 incurs a substantial cost, that will be negotiated. The payment of that will be negotiated between the District 4 and District 21 board, but define substantial cost. That means something different to everybody. So how would we even fix that if we had some sort of structural damage to one of the stations, or some sort of accident that it's not an insurance claim, but needed to be repaired. There's not even a starting number or a starting anywhere to start with that conversation.
All right. Well, not that we need more work to do, but I'm hoping that if we move forward with the RFA, a lot of those issues will go away with that formation. So perhaps we won't have to address it for the long term. All right. So Rich, you're willing to keep that in there, have it paid, and allow the chief to work on reimbursement.
Yes, I am.
All right. So that brings us back to the consent agenda, and I will read the numbers in. The total revenue for September was $233,509.88. The total expenditures were $724,057.70. Employee direct deposit payroll, $326,265.09. Payroll taxes, $68,689.07. Benefits voucher, $269,999.90. Monthly expenditure vouchers, $57,821.96. Capital projects facilities voucher, $1,281.68. There has been a motion. There has been discussion. Is there any other issues for discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Commissioner meeting reports. I know that probably should go back to roll call and let everyone know that John Crawford was excused for a family issue. And I think he attended the county commissioners meeting via Zoom. He has been good about sending out the notes and minutes from those meetings. So I will accept those as his report. And then Kimberly, John spoke to me about adding you to the 911 committee as a backup person for him. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So that would be in case he would be unable to attend. Is that the idea, or?
Correct. Because some of the meetings are at the same time as the RFA meetings. And so it's impossible for him to attend both at the same time.
Gotcha.
So when they overlap, then I'll go in his place. And if they don't, then he'll attend.
Okay. And you're all geared up and ready to do that?
Mhm.
Perfect. Thank you. Anyone else have anything, commissioner reports?
First, I'll just interject that we are attending the Blaine City Council meetings again
Okay.
and starting to make some presentations and reestablish that that network that came from the police chief of Blaine through the city council had stopped by my house and requested that we start doing that again.
Okay.
So I think we've made 1 out of 2, and we'll get it on our agenda to be there every other Monday.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Point that out.
I know that they always appreciated your smiling face at their meetings. All right, we'll move on to Local 106 report. Just FYI, the Blaine Thanksgiving baskets are going to occur again this year. I don't have the date, and I know that there's going to be sort of limited interaction with the public. In the past, people would come in to the building and pick up their orders, and crews would take them out to their cars. I think this year it's going to be basically they're going to drive up and somebody will run out and deposit the food baskets into their vehicles. And there obviously isn't going to be any homemade pies this year or anything like that. So a little bit different, but the membership is still going to participate in helping to put those baskets together. I don't have a date as to when that's going to happen though.
November 24th.
Thank you, Henry.
I'll be picking up the turkeys on the 23rd.
And is it going to be in that same location by Cost Cutter there?
No, you might have caught me on that one. It doesn't say on my email correspondence, but I'm assuming so. Yeah, I haven't heard of any different. So
that space is still vacant, is it?
yes.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Richard Davis is not here today, so I'm assuming we have no legal issues to speak of, Chief. And we'll move on to unfinished business. The first item is the audit.
The last thing on the audit, and I expect it to be finished up this month. So be looking for an email about an exit interview. It's been the reason for the length of the audit has been A, the depth of it, and B, that the chiefs that were here in 2018 and 2019 aren't here. And so sometimes tracking down how or why things are done has been a little difficult, but we persevered. The auditor's been very patient with us, and they've seemed to be pleased with what we've submitted.
All right, and thank you to all the staff time that's been put into that process. It's been a pretty involved one, and like you said, it's hard to find all the pieces, but I know that people in the office are good at keeping all the records. It's just digging them all out.
Just digging them out.
All right, the interlocal agreements, both of them are still pending.
We're moving ahead. Yep, the county has the numbers that they need in order to redraft the ILA for the sick leave reimbursement. And once we get that, then actually both of these, you've given me the authorization to sign, they'll get signed and we can get them off the agenda.
All right. So what you're saying is that's the calculations to make them whole in their sick leave.
Yes, sir.
All right. And how about the overtime reimbursement? How's that coming along?
It's tied to the same thing. It's gonna adjust. They're gonna adjust the amount of reimbursement we get up. So it's adjusting that final number. So it's in progress. It's just.
I thought we were going to get a piece of it at a time. Is that?
That's what I thought too. And then when it's on paper, it's different than maybe what they said. So hence why we don't do anything without paper.
It's like waiting for that first GEMT check, you know.
Yes.
It's just kept next month. All right. Any other unfinished business?
No, sir.
All right, move on to new business. So there are several documents that were sent out regarding the RFA discussions. Now, obviously, myself, Scott, the chief, and Rich have been at those meetings. The only person who this would be new information to would be you, Kimberly. So I know that some of those documents, didn't come out till yesterday, perhaps. Did you have a chance to look through them at all?
I did.
I'm putting you on the spot, aren't I? So the goal here, or I guess the expected requirement that we have agreed to do as a planning committee is to make sure that the boards are appraised of what is going on, so that when we sort of get to a decision-making place, there's no surprises. In our case, we have a majority of the boards at the RFA on the committee already, so it's almost a moot point. I would imagine maybe in larger jurisdictions, or if cities are involved or whatever, part of that process is to come back and make sure that there are no surprises. So that's the plans we've been working on, the communications plan, the website language. We want to start getting the message out to the public through our monthly newsletter and on our joint website with District 4 and District 21, so that people aren't surprised in August when we hopefully have an issue before the voters, that it's been well vetted and they've had the chance to ask questions, and even knowing what RFA stands for would be a nice thing that the public would understand by the time we get to that point. So the expenditure plan was proposed and passed there, and unless someone here has heartache, it was agreed to split the costs associated with the RFA. And in my opinion, that's Karen Reed's costs, and our financial review person, his name again, Jason. Bill Cushman's costs. Attorneys, perhaps our marketing costs, all that stuff was voted to be split 50-50. So unless we as a group decide that we want to do it differently, that's the direction we are moving. I know that Scott and Rich and myself are okay with that. I can't imagine you would be opposed to that, but you have an opportunity to tell me if you are. So I don't know if there's anything that caught your eye in there, whether there, and then for me, probably you seeing it fresh is probably more beneficial now than anything. And if you currently have any comments, that would be great. If you don't, or you come up with something, if you could forward those to Scott and myself, that would be helpful. Scott, the vice chair of the RFA committee. And sometimes it's just a tweak in the language or something from your experience in business or whatever that you say, hey, what if we worded it this way, or we left this key piece out or something like that.
Nothing jumped out at me right away, but I'll go through it again. I did just read it through once yesterday. So
Okay.
I'll go through it more thoroughly and get back to you.
Yeah, if you kind of put your naive citizen hat on and say, if I were to read this, does it make sense? Does it explain to me, or does it generate additional questions that might be pertinent to someone? Obviously we want people to approve this. The key piece is going to be what we set the mill rate at, and so that's going to be a huge discussion when we get to that point. So
yeah, it was a lot of information to process. So I'll definitely be reading through it several more times.
Yeah. And some of it is just, like timeline, rules of engagement, stuff like that we kind of all vetted in the committee. But it's a pretty aggressive timeline. We really want to get this going and moving forward, and so that it will be on the August 2021 ballot. And if we accomplish that, then everything would roll through to where we would start with the new taxing structure January of 2022. Because we don't have a lot of sort of operational issues, since we're doing all that work already as one, and we don't have 4 fire chiefs we're dealing with, and a city council and everything else. It should move right along. Getting our financial forecast and marketing plan is probably some key ones. So as an item on here is a financial forecast review committee. Now, we've hired an expert to do that, but I know that Jason and staff here could use as much help as possible, and using our master plan that we paid for. We still need to kind of look at a 7-year forecast for where we are, what we need, what we want, what we wish for, where we think we're going to be. And I know, Henry, I'm not going to drag you into this committee, but I think getting your eyes on this at some point would be useful, just because of your time and experience and in the district. Not asking you to write this thing up, but if at some point we get that document in a draft form, would you be willing to take a look at it for us as well?
Sure, no problem.
Good answer, thank you. So I know, Kimberly, I'm kind of looking at you. I know you're busy and new and everything, and I don't want to overwhelm you, but and I'm not expecting that we're going to be doing all the heavy lifting here. But is that something that you might want to be involved in, that process of helping us kind of look over some financial planning issues?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. So, Chief, I guess we just need to work with you and decide. Part of the reason I'm asking we do this is knowing that you're shorthanded as well, and to help take some of that burden off of you. So maybe we can sit down on the 27th or whatever and come up with a plan of how we want to divide some of this stuff up, or how Kimberly and I can be of use to you. and not be in your way, basically. The last thing I want to do is slow you down.
No, yeah, we can definitely do that, and I'll put some ideas on paper, and we'll go over them on the 27th.
I mean, I think our consultant is going to be doing the majority of that work based on the ESCI's report. I mean, they talked about our equipment and our stations and our staffing, and he's going to know our growth numbers, and he's going to know the county projections, and you know, Henry's already told us about all the new housing that's going to be happening up there in East Blaine, and
really what we need to do is we know where we are today. We just want to, as opposed to the ESCI report says where they want us to be, but what Mr. Chrisman's looking for is where do we want to be? Where do we see ourselves? Where do we see ourselves? Where do we see us fitting into the community? And that's what's the board's perspective on those things.
yeah, and I mean, I think that's kind of the purpose of our board anyway. I mean, we've danced around all these sort of day-to-day issues since I've been here for 4+ years now. But really, it's our fiduciary responsibility to say, you know, how much money are we going to spend, and what kind of tax burden are we going to impose? I don't think whatever mill rate we settle on is going to resolve our capital needs, and that's, you know, station remodels and aging equipment. So we've got to figure out if we want to capital bond in the foreseeable future as well. So, and it's got to pass the voters too. So
Always that piece.
we can always, we know what we want, just can we afford it and get it? So we'll get back to you, Kimberly, then when we kind of have a plan, and maybe have a couple little work sessions that fit around your time frame. I don't want to burden you to have to take more time off work, but if it's something we could do in the evening or whatever, that, or a weekend, I'd be happy to do that as well.
Okay, me too.
Okay, next item under new business is the commissioner webinar series. I think there were like 3 topics. And Kimberly, you had asked about attending or watching the one on PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts there? What?
Well, I just find it very interesting, and it's a very real part of what our firefighters go through, and the things they have to see and deal with and take home with them.
I think one of them was peer support. Also, I can't remember what the other one was, but peer support and PTSD were 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
Legal issues in 2020.
Legal issues. Anyway,
I had it. Sorry.
I know that probably peer support is near and dear to Rich's heart. I was on our peer support team for 10 and 12 years in Bellevue. So I don't know that we really have an organized group here in our district at this point.
Very loosely organized.
Right. So.
Well, I could attend that one as well too. I mean, I've been very involved with burn support groups for 36 years.
Right. So I just wanted to bring it up to the board that this series is out here. It's a minimal cost if anyone is interested. They're here, and I know that Kimberly had asked to attend at least one of those. So I'm certainly in favor of her doing that. So if anyone else has any comments or wants to attend, let the chief and Jenny know. Any other new business? Correspondence, yeah, sorry.
Before, I know Henry's been dying to sit through a whole commissioners meeting since he came back on board.
Oh, sweet.
Could we give an update on the fire marshal office?
I'm sorry. Yes. I thought he just came to see us.
That's it. That's all I came for, really.
Henry, please enlighten us.
And there was one other thing too, Chief, was the vehicle. I don't know when you want to bring that up in the agenda that I talked to you about yesterday. But on the fire marshal side, we're all caught up with the backlog of work. We've got probably a dozen builders that we're working with on new development. The biggest areas right now are Semiahmoo, the city of Blaine, and kind of the central guide area around Pole and Guide. There's a big convenience store market coming in that corner, and also a 12 building RV storage facility coming in the Bartlett area. Or it's all this is proposed. So, they're working through the permitting process. I checked with staff this morning. In August or September and October, we've brought in about 19,000 and change on mitigation fees. So that's you probably saw that on the report. I don't see the chief's report. And other than that, I'm working with Joel as much as we can. There's some challenges with scheduling because he works 24-hour shifts and I work Tuesdays and Thursdays sometimes. But yeah, so we have the goal to get Joel up and running by the first of the year. It might be a little aggressive, but that we're gonna shoot for that. Other than that, that's about where we are on the fire marshal side. The inspection side is hanging in there. I can't give you an update on City of Blaine commercial inspections. I don't know what we've done on that. I'll have to ask Joel where we are on that.
All right.
And all those meetings, all those TRC meetings are all also by Zoom, which makes it really challenging to look at a set of plans that are usually 3 feet by 4 feet and try to put those plans on a 19-inch screen.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some challenges to that, so to think about for the future.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for bailing us out and stepping in. We tried to figure out our best way to get you back, so I guess it worked out. But I know it takes time away from perhaps other things you could be doing, but we appreciate what you've done for the district, and especially during this time when things are really looking like they're starting to boom. So appreciate it. Okay, so any questions for Henry at all before we let him get back to work? Let's see, it is Thursday, right? So you have to work today.
Thank you. Real quick, he alluded to a vehicle question. I just want to seek the board's approval. I don't know that I need a motion or a vote, just a head nod, but as many of you may be aware, Henry's been working with the county EOC at the what's referred to as the COVID hotel. So folks that maybe don't have a place to shelter or to wait out their quarantine period due to homelessness or other factors have been staying at the old Motel 6, which the county has taken over, and Henry's kind of the chief innkeeper there. They have lost their transportation, their mode of transportation for transporting individuals that are there back and forth to the hospital or to the clinics for testing. They have asked to use our van, our big people mover van, and with the understanding that it will be sanitized and cleaned and returned in the same condition it's loaned out in. I went ahead and gave Henry initial approval, but I wanted to let the board know that is, and if you have any concerns about that, we can change that. It seems like a good thing to do for our community. It will only be used for official business. They've got official drivers. It's not the clients that will be driving the van to the corner store. It's just for appointments and such.
Is there any? Yeah, I'm all for it. Are there any insurance issues we have to worry about, or since it's being driven by quote certified people who are good?
They're only going to provide 2 drivers on site, so I will follow through on that. That will be one of my questions. And then Jason also asked, and I think it's a good idea that we get in writing that the van will be disinfected and given back in the same state that it was given. So that, and although most of the folks that are coming to the hotel are there for isolation, they've had an exposure and they not necessarily have tested positive, but they have no place to isolate. And it, you know, in the larger Russian families, we're seeing it. Some of the migrant farm worker communities we're seeing, they just have no place to isolate because they have 8, 10, 12 people living in the same house. And so the county is using the hotel for that purpose, for quarantine and isolation. They did have a service out of Skagit County, Cabulance, it was called. I'm not too familiar with it, but they just, the contract they had, something happened at that company and they just can no longer provide the service. So all of a sudden, the hotel staff is kind of situated with a situation where they have folks at the hospital that need to go to the hotel, but there's no way to get them back and forth. And so it was actually my suggestion that I ask you if they could use the van, and they're all for it. And I told them I'd get back to them by the end of today with a yes or no. And depending on your thoughts, I think it's a great, I would think it'd be a great thing to do for the community.
So do I.
Yeah, I'm, like I said, the only lessons we've learned is handshake deals are only as good as the handshake. So putting something in writing is probably worthwhile. And I don't know, as far as the insurance liability piece, if it would behoove a call to Richard Davis just to make sure that we haven't missed anything on that. I mean, if, for example, someone gets in an accident driving that thing, who's liable? You know, is it our liability, or is there somehow that's transferred to the driver or the hotel or the county or this, whoever is sort of managing that?
I'm assuming that the county will be insuring it during their use, but I'm going to confirm that also in writing. What I needed first was, before I went down that road, I wanted to get approval.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of it. I don't want to see the liability come back onto the district if something bad were to happen.
I'll take care of that.
At the very least, I think we want copies of their driver's license, the guys who are driving it, or gals.
Gals,
And
yeah.
then maybe let our insurance know so they aren't surprised.
Okay.
I was going to say the same thing.
Can do.
All right. And thank you for helping out with that as well, too, Henry.
That's what retired life's all about, right?
I thought fishing was good. I don't know.
I'm gonna try that one day.
There you go. All right. Anything else under new business? All right. Correspondence. We got a recalculation of GEMT money for 2018 to give us an additional $6,398.20. Is that just sort of an accounting thing that happens annually, or was this what created this?
Or somebody paid a back bill or something like that.
Thanks, Henry. Yeah, I mean, it's nice that it's a positive number and not a negative number.
Right.
All right. So announcements, this SNR laws update webinar on the 21st. That one is the big one. That's all the changes in rules and laws and updates. And we paid the $250 fee that allows us unlimited access to all staff members.
Correct.
And it's going to be recorded, so we don't have to be live for 6 hours and watch this thing. We can watch it at our leisure. So I guess I am certainly going to try to get through that, but I don't want to do it in a 6-hour setting. So I think it's one that we can start and stop and review at our leisure. I probably have to have my grandkids show me how to do that, but all right, next month, the 19th, everyone good for the next meeting? I guess I should put it on my calendar.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
And I'm good.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Agenda items, next meeting. Are we still working on that interlocal agreement?
There was some, it's, the only reason we're working on it is there's specifically some stuff that we're pulling out of that. The previous fire marshal had put several things about, having the ability to be armed and commissioned while on duty. And I don't see a need for that. We're just redlining all that out of there. So that's the only reason. It's not, there's no more back and forth. It's
Okay.
pulling stuff out that we really don't feel is necessary.
Gotcha. All right. So we'll probably need an RFA update at our next meeting. And let's see. Well, I don't know whether we continue the interlocal agreements. I guess we just put them down there as an FYI. Anything else anyone wants on the next meeting?
The audit.
The audit, thank you. All right, any other business? If there is none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before you do that, on the audit, if they have a presentation again, I'd like to be present if I can.
Yep. I assume that'll be by Zoom, but yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I would hope that that might even make it easier to do it, and have whoever wants to attend if and when we schedule that, we'll figure out.
And I think it would be beneficial for Commissioner McMurray as well to hear, to kind of see what they did. That's kind of in her wheelhouse. And so I think it would be good for her to see that and then be able to give us tips for surviving the next one.
Yeah, let me know.
All right. All right. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned 1:53 p.m. Document signing, been going